First things first. Moving on a bit. Today we're going to be doing the electrics. In here I'm going to put a number of sockets into the chipboard that I'm going to be putting up. But before I put the chipboard up and before I put the insulation in place, I want to work out where all the sockets are going to go, get the cable holes put in place and make sure they're all marked out, drilled through, so I can run the cables in without any bother once the insulation is in place. My thinking is, if I put the insulation in first, then I'm going to be drilling into the insulation. There's going to be chips going into it. It's probably going to catch up with the drill. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the posterior. So I'm thinking I'll mark out, or rather lay out, where I think each of the sockets are going to go, each of the switches are going to go, and then I can drill the holes that I need to be able to run the cables, and then we can get the consumer unit fitted. In the garage consumer unit is in there at the moment. I'm going to be using one that came from another house. So that consumer unit in the garage has only two fused switches, which is ideal for in here because there's only going to be two things. There's going to be light and there's going to be power. I'm going to run a 30 amp cable through to this area. The consumer unit then splits off. It's got one 16 amp for the sockets, and then it's got one 5 amp for the lights. That's going to then bring the fused limits down to the right sort of level. Now again, I'm not an electrician, right? I've worked out a few things. I've tried stuff out. This is for home use. Really, if you don't know about electrics, be safe. Get an electrician in to help you out. Have a look also at the Building Regs website. That gives you a whole load of info about what you can and can't do for new builds, what you can and can't do for refurbishing existing builds. All I'm going to do with this is I'm going to be basing the socket heights, the switch heights, the electrical load limits, the cable diameters based upon Building Regs. Sockets above 450 millimeters, below 120, which is going to be a nice sort of region, so it actually saves, you don't have to bend down so much to be able to get to your sockets and don't have to reach up to get to your light switches. First things first then is run a ring main all the way round, run to each of the sockets, run to each of the light switches, and then we can do the consumer units. I was going to just lay out the cables and just cut the woodwork so I could run the cables through, but I just call for cats, take out all of those, get the heavy duty cable fitted up to the new consumer unit, and then this consumer unit can go into the studio. So there was no bus bar, this earthing bar in this. I've just gone and bought one, fitted it in. So now I've created an earthing bus bar so I can reuse this consumer unit. To get a new consumer unit, this one was 130 quid, whereas this little badger just cost me £4. I am really chuffed with that today. Now I say to myself, that is a neat job. Yeah man, that's looking good. I thought in the end, well, I'm going to have to do this, going to have to bite the bullet, get this fuse board done in the garage. And I know it's going to take a bit of time, but I didn't think it was going to take this much time, but it has. But it's in now, and it's much neater than it was, so I'm very happy with that. And on the side in the studio is looking really good on that side, so that's really coming together. So the next thing I will be able to do is I won't have to even worry about just thinking about putting the cables in place. I know where I'm going to do it in my mind. I'll just be able to run them out and connect them up. So I should be able to get the electrics in there relatively quickly now that consumer board is inside the studio ready to go. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Rich and this is It's Adventure. Don't forget, click on that subscribe button if you want to see the rest of the studio build and see how we get on. And if you like this, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm, helps the channel no end, so I really appreciate it. But for now, thank you. I'll see you again very soon.